Hey everybody, how you doing? I said I was going to send you the spreadsheet, and I am about to send it to you right now. But first, I'm just putting together a real quick video to explain how to use the thing. Obviously, thanks again for coming and hanging out with me for a couple of hours. It was a very, very cool experience for me, and I'm super stoked to get back over to the US. Definitely XYPN next year, but hopefully virtually between now and then to help you guys get started with your own personal spending and savings plan journey with your clients. I'm not shouting because I'm sitting in the lounge at San Fran Airport waiting. I think I got 3 hours until my flight, so just thought I'd smash out the video for you. And this is basically how I'd put this stuff together. Now, my audio would be a little bit better. I'm just rocking a headset today. I'd normally have my podcast mic, but that bad boy's tucked away underneath the plane, and so I don't have that with me. But I got my Logitech camera, so that's just clipped on. It's just it's a pretty standard one, so I can send you guys photos and stuff if you've got any questions around what to use. And I'm using Camtasia to record it, so I literally just click new recording, and it goes to the screen size that I want, and then we're off and running. So right now I'm doing what I normally do at the intro of a video, which is do talking head. So I'll talk to the camera. I'll try to maintain eye contact as much. Excuse me. I will try to maintain eye contact as much as possible. But if you look around a little bit, don't stress, because at the end of the day, this is you talking to your clients, and that they really don't care. They care that you're talking to them. And with Camtasia, you can edit the thing and come back and have another go at it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to the spreadsheet, and I will come back and talk to you at the end. Okay, so normally when we send this to the client, first thing I'll do is I'll change. So we've got 4 tabs. Excuse me, I'll go through all 4 tabs. My voice is cooked after lots and lots of chats over a few days. First thing I'll do before I even send it to them is I'll resave it using the benchmark that I want to use. So if I'm sending it to a single, open up the file, save it as singles, and you might just want to save one version each, but Excel is smart enough to just basically go save whatever that one is, that's it. Obviously, all this stuff's going to be blank. I've just pre-populated some data in here, so it's easy for you to use and see the benchmarks. So when the client gets it, it's going to be blank. And when we send it to them, we actually give them a video, literally like I'm doing now, but obviously I'm explaining it in a little bit more detail to you guys because you're the coaches, not the clients. But I would literally send it to them saying, hey, blah, blah, thanks for coming and booking in your first appointment with us, what we call a goal planning session. You guys will be calling it your personal spending and savings plan, so that we can spend the most amount of time helping you build and tailor your plan and not doing fact-finding and background work. Have a go at filling out the budget and make sure you get it back to us by 48 hours, at least 48 hours before the meeting. A couple of things you need to be aware of. Try to fill this out as complete as possible. If there's any gaps and things that you don't know 100%, just do an estimated guess, and then apply the golden rules. On the income side, underestimate it. On the expenses side, overestimate it, and then we can adjust it as we go. Because really, what we're trying to do now is just help you get started. And getting started means you're doing your estimate budget. Then when you set to work with us, we're going to help you set your trial budget. And then after that, we'll create your real budget, which will kick in from month 3 onwards. So for now, it's just about filling it out. So that's just one little example of doing a bit of an intro. And then what I might do is just do a really quick demo on how to fill it out. So guys, really simple. All you got to do, chuck your names in at the top. And I would type exactly like this and go Wendy sample. Now, if it was them, obviously I'm putting their names in. I'm not doing anything else. And you can pre-populate it with their names if you want to. It's completely up to you. Then you want to go through and you want to put some income details in. Now, be as specific as you can. If you are on a set pay cycle with a set amount, then put the exact amount in. Make sure you're always putting the right payment frequency in there. So if it's fortnightly, put that in. And then Wendy is 2479. Oh no, Wendy earns more. So let's say Wendy's on 4,000 a fortnight. And let's put him on like 6, 5. a month. Now, obviously, the figures I'm putting in are a little bit higher, but you sort of get the drift. Go through then and complete your expenses. So here, look, what's hidden in here is spares. Now, you can expand all of this out and leave the spares in there and get them to fill them out. You can fill them out with them. You can pre-populate it. You can break this up. I've sort of squished everything down to what I'd call probably more the skinnier version to get started. But again, you can break that out, and this is what you'll obviously work through as you're building your program out. So for now, let's just assume we're going to keep it all smushed up, and you're just going to go through Sam and Wendy, and you're just going to put in again the amounts. Now, again, the education, if you know exactly what it is and there's not enough, you've got two different areas that you need to include expenses for education, then you can put the second one in other. Education might be a good one that you actually want to leave opened because they might have different types or they might want to break it up. This is where you can sort of tailor it client by client in terms of how expanded you have it. But what you don't want to be doing is allowing them to move education into different areas. So it might be better to maybe leave it expanded for this one. But you want them doing the exact amount. So if they're sending them to childcare or daycare or aftercare, then put in the exact amount. And then encourage them to do these last three columns here as well. I'll just bring that down a tiny bit so we can see it. Which is, how do you pay for this now? So cash, credit, debit, or electronic transfer. They can leave it blank, but just encourage them to do it. And then this is going to say, from which account will you pay this? Now, that's linked over to the bank accounts tab, which is why in the intro, what I should have done was said, make sure you fill out your bank accounts tab. Here, what we're doing, now you don't need to get the balances for the software that we're using. It does. We need to put the balances in, but I actually like the habit of getting the client to just go and do this stuff. It's more steps, it's more checking, and they might not know themselves, so it's a good exercise to go and do it. So they can go and put in their spending, their account details and what they call it. Over here under account type, we've got checking, savings, credit card, loan, and others. So you can see I've already adjusted it to use more US-based terms. Okay, so make sure they fill that out first because that's what they're going to use to choose where the spending's coming from. So this payment's obviously not cash. It's let's say it's credit because it's coming off the... Do we have a credit card? No, we don't. That's ridiculous. Let's go back into the bank accounts and just add one in. Credit card. And if I was doing that properly, I would fill that out. Got a credit card. And now over here I can choose credit card and just encourage them to use the notes function. So if they're confused in any way, shape or form as to whether the amount they put in was correct, whether the account they're using was correct, the method that they pay for is correct, the more information you can get from them up front, the easier it's going to be when it comes time to actually do the setup. So they would go through and they would repeat that process with every single one of their expenses. I'm only going to take you through the setup phase. I'll do another, there's more videos in the course around doing the full setup in the personal spending and savings plan meeting, where we go through all the detailed and tricky stuff, like how do you split a home loan cost into a principal component and an interest component, but also reflect it and show it as the total cost so that the client can see that they've got enough money to cover both components, how to do adjustments for fixed expenses and variable expenses and all that sort of stuff. So for now, it's literally just getting you started. And then what that'll do is that'll have your peer group chart down the bottom. Now, clearly, I've not gone and adjusted those numbers to make it better. Oh, and my scrolling screen has just gone nuts. So I'll just go back up and adjust the income to make it a lot more realistic. I might just drop that down. It's probably still too high, but we'll see how we go. Now if I click, that's going to adjust that. There we go. Look, still pretty close. That would be the absolute upper end. So realistically, that lifestyle spending figure I would suggest would be going up. Utilities would be going up. Medical would be going up. Fees and charges and insurances would be going up. So what you're going to learn again when you go to your personal spending and savings plan is I'm going to teach you, and you're going to overestimate your variable expenses, lock in your fixed expenses. So obviously rent is rent. It's the same amount all the time. But for example, health, the risk here is that you underestimate that and they actually spend 5.5%. So I would be, when you get into the meeting with the client, not when they send it to you the first time, I'd be going back and adjusting that up. In here, in their assets and liabilities, it's important that they're filling out, what their balances are on their loans, because you can use that to calculate your interest later. Same with your investment assets and stuff like that. And then it's just other little things that you can include in here. I will adjust this so that it does not say super, including retirement. We don't need any of that. Gross salary before tax, including allowances. There you go. So that's fixed. That's yours. And that, in a fairly simple and straightforward nutshell, I'll get rid of any of, you're not going to need super contributions. That is pretty much it. They fill out their bank accounts and then they send it back to you. Now, just a final tip, make sure they always put their accounts that are in debit in a negative. You want them showing up like that because obviously we're going to have a net position at the end, which is going to be our minuses and our positives, our plus and minuses. The benchmarks are also in here, but I'd strongly suggest you don't start tinkering with those until at least 6 to 12 months after you've been running the program and adjusting it to include your own numbers. So there it is, guys. There's your spreadsheet. I started whispering because I don't want to annoy anybody and get kicked out of here like we almost got kicked out of the workshop. Really looking forward to talking to you all again soon. And until I see you, I'm going to check out and have my flight home. And next time I talk to you will be when I'm back home in Australia. Bye.